Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Today is Monday, December 16th. It is 6:22 right now. Market's going to open in about 8 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick and we'll get started shortly with our analysis for today. It's got a few things here to update and we should be good to go. Good. So let me go to send this link out to you guys here in the premium. All right, perfect. Um, let's see. So as people start to join in, make sure everything's set up properly. All right. Put these next to each other. So guys, we have candle rollover or contract rollover this week, going from YMZ to YMH. I'm just gonna put these next to each other so we can kind of see. The difference. So the ATR is probably off by like maybe like less than a point. They're moving pretty similar, but just slightly different. I would stick to the December contract or to the March contract actually. So, I mean, I'll come back and take a look at that shortly. But all right, guys, good morning, everybody. Looks like people are still making their way in right now. So for today, I've so you'll see these new bars on the chart right here. One thing that I was working on over the weekend was a liquidity indicator because I know this is something that a lot of people like to apply. This liquidity is slightly different though. So there's two different ways to mark up liquidity. It's either you mark it up from the untested high lows, or you mark it up, or you can see it right here on the chart as it is. For today, I'm just going to mark up liquidity this way. You guys can see this is how it looks like when it's not there, and this is how it looks like when it's there. Basically, the red liquidity is liquidity to the upside. So like basically people are taking sells. This is where they're placing their stop loss. It's just another way of identifying liquidity. We'll test this out today so that I can kind of show you guys, how it works and how it plays out when price actually pushes through. Because whenever price pushes through to liquidity, it'll disappear. It'll make room for the next levels of liquidity there. So I'm not going to market the regular liquidity. I'm just going to leave this up here, and then we will kind of show you guys like how it works. It's based off not the high lows, but it's based off like fair value gaps for the most part. Because I know a lot of people like to trade those. And the way that this works is like typically price will typically come down to liquidity and it'll bounce off it. Um, so we'll just try to, I'll leave this up for now, and because I still have to test it during actual market open and see how like everything here works. But for the most part, I was putting together this liquidity indicator because a lot of people like to apply liquidity. One thing with the breakout for today, guys, is that I'm not taking the breakout. As you guys know from last week, we had a really weird week for the breakout. Basically Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, 4 days out of the week, it was a whipsaw move. So it didn't matter which direction you took, whether it was a buy or a sell, the breakout would have lost because of the market volatility and the market direction. There just was no direction. So for today, I'm going to mark up the breakout, but I'm not going to be taking it, guys. So just a reminder, no breakout for me today. I will mark it up and I'll tell you guys where it's at, but I'm not going to be taking it myself. I'm going to be looking for scalps though, so just keep that in mind. Again, if you guys are not familiar with the contract change, we're changing from the December contract to the March contract. So I'm going to be switching over to that, and I'll be trading on the March contract specifically. So you guys should be not on the YMZ, should be on YMH. I did roll over on all of my NinjaTrader and TradeAway accounts. So we are now on YMH. I'm not going to be on the continuous today. It's YMH 2025. All right, guys, market's going to open up shortly. The direction for the breakout today is going to be a sell. I'm not taking the breakout today. Like I said, guys, I'll be following it, but I'm not going to take it. I'll be following it and documenting it because in order for me to take the next breakout, I need this breakout here to win first. So breakout for today is going to be a sell, guys. Market's opening up in about 20 seconds. I will be taking the scalps today between 6:40 and 7. I'm going back to my original game plan, guys. I'm not going to be changing anything. I'm going to keep everything as simple as possible, and we'll go from there. So market's about to open up here in about 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Market is now open. And here goes the direction of the breakout, which is a sell. I'm not taking the breakout today. I'll be following it, but I'm not going to be taking it. I need to have a win for the breakout before I start looking for any other entries for breakout. Following my risk off plan, whenever I have 2 back-to-back losses, I wait for the next breakout before I start looking for the next entry. So basically last week, I only took 1 trade. Took the breakout on Monday. It lost, unfortunately. The Friday prior to that, it lost as well. So I didn't take any trades at all last week. I just took the breakout on Monday. So the breakout's currently running right here. As you guys can see, volatility is pretty low. Here is the new liquidity indicator that I'm putting together for you guys. So you guys can see there's liquidity down here. See how liquidity is getting knocked out below? And the bars there start to disappear as all liquidity here gets knocked out. So this is what's the cool thing about this liquidity indicator is that it cleans it up for me. So I don't have to like leave, like I don't have the liquidity just kind of chilling on the chart, right? Because it gets really messy. See how liquidity here is getting knocked out? Every time liquidity here gets knocked out, it creates, it establishes for new liquidity to be established on the chart. So looks good right there. The breakout's still running right now, guys. It's in profit, but the volatility here is actually pretty low as expected. So if you guys are just joining in, like I said earlier, I am not taking the breakout for today, guys. I'm currently on the risk off plan. Basically, whenever I have 2 back-to-back losses, I don't take a liquidity until I have a win. So right now I'm just sitting out on the liquidity. I'm following it, but I'm not taking it myself because I need to have 1 win before I start taking any other, I'm not taking the breakout because I need to have 1 more win before I can take the next one. You guys can see the market's been super choppy and super whipsawed lately. And this is why I'm not taking the breakout because it shows that the market conditions right now are just not good for the breakout. So I'm hoping this hits. If it doesn't hit, it's completely fine. I'm just not going to take the next trade until it does hit. But I'm going to use this to kind of just watch from basically a looking in view, like a fishbowl view, to see how the market's moving. As long as the market starts to move directional and it starts to move in the way that we need it to, then I'll start taking the breakouts. But right now, it's currently not in that type of market structure or market situation. So looking at this here, again, we have I didn't mark up our original type of liquidity. As you guys can see over here, I have these liquidities that automatically plot on the chart. You can see this new indicator here. I'll turn it off. That's what it looks like without it. This is what it looks like with it. With this indicator here, I'm able to identify liquidity on the chart using different parameters. So it's not using the high lows. It's mainly using these fair value gaps that a lot of people like to use. It's something that's been used for a while now. It's becoming more and more popular. But it's easier for me to plot these and then have it disappear when price gets to that point. So there we go. This price drops lower. Breakout still running in profit. We have some more news today as well. We have news at 6:45. So it's going to be a little tricky for me to take the scalps today, guys, because we do have news at 6:45. So I'll be looking to take some scalps between 6:40 and 7, just this little window right here. I don't know if I'll be able to take anything, but I will be looking for any possible entry here as we approach this area. So again, if you guys are just joining in, I'm putting together this liquidity indicator. I know a lot of you guys, this is like one of your favorite indicators, one of your favorite strategies to use liquidity push. It's based off fair value gaps for the most part. You guys can do it by hand, but I mean, this indicator makes things so much easier to just plot on the chart for you guys. So the cool thing with this is that you don't have to manually plot it. It'll pretty much just clear out once price comes and touches it. Daryl over here got his 50 points for the breakout. He's in and out. Nice work, Daryl. So Daryl over here took the breakout for 50 points. Again, like I said before, guys, last week, because of the whipsaw and the choppiness of the market, there's only one thing that you can really do to adapt to the market. The main thing to do to adapt with this type of market, which is whipsawing and it's kind of going back and forth in range, is to adjust your TP stop loss. So instead of using a 50-100, you can go for a 50-50 like Daryl's doing. He took it for 50-50, hit his full TP right there. Great work. Or you can do 100-100. It's just up to preference. But I'll leave it with the original TP stop loss, 50-100. And then if I need to make some adjustments, of course, I'll make some adjustments. But right now, I'm going to leave it as is. And just a reminder, if you guys are just joining as well, there's a rollover for contracts. So last month we were on YMZ, which was the December contracts. The December contract is expiring this week. So we are moving to YMH 2025. You can use a continuous contract, but for specifically on NinjaTrader or Tradeovate, you have to select the contract that you're using. And the contract that we're using here is going to be YMH. So here we go as price pushes back up. I don't know if I'll be able to get any scalps today. It looks like the area where we're going to be trading is going to be a little bit tricky because right here between 6:40 and 7, we have news at 6:45. Right here. And then on top of that, we just have opening price and we have a bunch of sessions in both directions. So just something to keep in mind. But again, if you guys want to mark up the original high liquidity, you can still mark it up on the chart. It's just going to make the chart a little messy. So I'll mark up the original liquidity here. And I'll just leave it on the lower time frames, of course, like on the 1 minute. So you can actually do both. You can use this indicator, this other liquidity indicator that I'm putting together to get in for entry. So for example, if you're trying to aim for this higher high right here, you can get in for liquidity like right here. And then you could aim for that higher high. Basically as your target. So I'll just use this as an example here. There's no entries to take right now, so don't worry, guys. Nothing to take at the moment. But I'll just show you how you can use both of these. You can use the original way of identifying liquidity in conjunction with this liquidity indicator to identify entry. Like you have your pending buy stop, like just hanging out right there. When it comes up and triggers it, your target could be the actual level of liquidity. And then vice versa the other way too. So like if you had a level down here, well, I wouldn't use this one, but if you had a level right here, you could have this as the the liquidity to reach that lower level down there. But there is session sitting in both areas. Like I've told you guys in the past, I'm always going to look for solutions for you guys. Like if you guys have anything that you want me to put together or you need something to make trading a little more efficient, trading my strategies, I can put stuff together. It's not super difficult. And I think this thing's going to be pretty useful moving forward, but we'll see. I mean, we're going to give it some time for us to like get used to it. If you guys don't like it, or if it's not as accurate as I thought it was, then I can just scrap the idea. But I think it's going to be pretty useful. So breakout is still running. Looks like we're still in the same type of market as last week, guys. So unfortunately, the breakout here it's just not there. So you can see over here, there's just no direction in the market. Price is going back and forth. Here's a clean chart. I'll go and mark up some levels here. So the thing with this market is that this is normal for December. I mean, yeah, we're getting closer to Christmas. We're like a week away from Christmas. This is normal for Christmas. This isn't normal for like last week's market or the week before that. This type of sideways move is not supposed to be happening around this time. Or, I mean, this week's okay. So if this is happening this week, this is normal. We have Christmas next week. So this is technically the last full week of trading for the year, I think, because we have Christmas next week and then we have New Year's a week after. Yeah, so next week markets close on Tuesday, Wednesday for Christmas Eve and Christmas, and then the week after that is New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So we have basically a half day on New Year's Eve, I believe, and then New Year's Day markets closed. So yeah, this is the last full week of trading, guys. Last full week of trading. This is normal for the market to go sideways like this, but this isn't normal for it to move like this last week or the week before. Last week was pretty bad. There was 4 days out of the 5 days that was a sideways market. Which was not exactly what I was hoping for, of course. So let's see what else we got here. There's just nothing going on. As you guys can see, prices coming down, so the breakout's still moving. Going back over here. So we're now at the 640 range. The problem with this here is, so I would try to take an entry at this point between 640 and 7, but for one, there's no direction right here. Price is going sideways. And for two, we have a bunch of areas of risk here. So we have a red flag down here, which is the Asia low and the London low. We have two sessions down here. You can see the last time price came down and touched the sessions, it got faked out. So this is an area of manipulation. Price came down to this area, bounced off this area, pushed back up. Ideally, it's trying to push back down because this is the direction of the trend, but it's going to have trouble getting past this specific area right here. So I don't know if I'll have, any opportunity here to take any entries. Hopefully, we'll see if there's going to be a little opportunity right here between 645 and 7. There's news right here at 645. So hopefully when the news comes out at 645, which is S&P Global Manufacturing PMI, Composite PMI, Services PMI, this is all inflation news. So once the inflation news comes out right here at 645, I'm hoping that there's going to be some sort of catalyst to push price down or up. It doesn't matter which direction price pushes, but I want price to push away from this specific area so that we can maybe look for an entry here between 640 and 7. So like we talked about last week, guys, I'm going to try to keep things simple. I've been trying to try new things lately, which I really shouldn't, because what we've been using works. So if you have something that works, you shouldn't try to fix it, right? The only problem is that like whenever I mentor people, we've been doing this mentoring futures trading mastery class. I get a lot of ideas, and the problem with getting ideas is that you want to try new things, right? But traditionally, like this strategy has been working for me for years, so there's no need for me to change anything different. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of different ways to trade, but this specific way works for me. So I'm going to stick to my game plan, which is take scalps between 640 and 7. If there's no entries between this time, then okay, that's fine. I'll just not take a trade for the day. I'll look for the next trade the following day. And then the breakouts, of course. So I'll be sticking to the breakouts. Once we have a winning breakout, I'll take the next one, and then I'll stick to my scalps between 640 and 7. This is like this is my edge in the market. My edge is this 20-minute window. Basically, before this time is the breakout. This time is where I look for my entry, and after 7 o'clock is where the market goes super flat. So that's what I'm going to stick to for now. Hoping that there's going to be some sort of movement. And we got news coming up in about 3 minutes, guys. No entries here right now. Price is literally going sideways, just sitting right here at the opening price. ATR is currently at 18 or 19 right now, so it's not super, super slow, but it is um so it's decent volatility, but there's no direction. That's what I wanted to say. Typically, if it's below 15, it's like super, super flat, but like right now it's currently at 19, so the ATR is pretty decent, but you can see here that there's no direction. Price is moving, it's going back and forth, but it's not actually moving up, and it's not actually moving down. It's just going back and forth. Glenn's asking, is the ATR a free indicator? So there is an ATR indicator that you can use. This indicator is mine, so I created this. This one isn't free because I created this one. I made it where it's easier down here. You can look up the ATR indicator on the technicals. So you can have the ATR indicator, but it'll be down here. So you can have it, it'll just be down here at the bottom. But I like mine to be right here. It's easier to see, it's easier for me to follow. So that's why I created this specific indicator for my own personal use. All of my tools here and all my indicators, I created them for a specific reason, right? I needed them to become more efficient for me so it could be easier for me to look for trades. And that's just the way I created it. Same with like all these other indicators here, like this liquidity indicator. I mean, you can probably create your own, or you can find one online, but this specific one is for me because I like how it looks on the chart. I can see that there's all this liquidity hanging out right here and it's ready to get hit, right? So guys, if you guys are just joining into this live session, again, this is a new indicator that I put together. It's called the Kodi Kai liquidity. Basically, it plots liquidity on the chart for you. This is what it looks like without it, and this is what it looks like with it. It's a different way of identifying liquidity. It's more so like a trail of liquidity. So you can still market the original way. Like for example, you see how we have the higher high right here and the higher high up here. These are still levels of liquidity, but you can use this liquidity indicator to take trades on the way up there. So instead of getting in like way up here, you can get in like you can get in down here and then ride the liquidity up to the targets. Or if price is up here, you can ride this liquidity from like right here up until the target right there. So it's not replacing liquidity. It's just it's another tool to help identify where price is going to be sitting as it pushes up to the actual liquidity level. So I might rename this something different, maybe like liquidity trail or liquidity buildup or something like that. Just so that there's no confusion, but it's just another tool to use when applying liquidity because it helps a lot when you're like looking for this here to push in that direction. So, all right, we got news right here at 6:45. I'll mark this up as news price. As you guys can see, I mean, we're not in a good area of trading right now. Price is kind of just all over the place. News over here was mixed. So manufacturing was negative, composite was positive, and services was positive. So it's mixed news this morning. As you guys can see right here, there's just no direction. Price is still going sideways. This is understandable because we are during the week before Christmas. So sideways markets are expected. We're right next to the holiday week. And this is kind of what we're gonna have to work with. So I want to be patient this week, guys. You know, the key thing with trading is like really patience. I reread my book again, my One Good Trade book that I told you guys about last week. You know, that book definitely helps. Not just that book, but books in general. You know, if you start to go off track with your trading, just go back to what you read or what you listened to before when you're profitable, and it'll get you back in the proper mindset. That book, One Good Trade, reminded me that, I just need one good trade per day. I don't need to go crazy. I don't need to take like a bunch of different entries. I just need one good trade per day. If I can take one good trade per day, I'll be solid. And that's what I'm going to be doing here. So the breakout's still running in profit, guys. I'm pretty glad we didn't take the breakout today, or I didn't take it at least, because you guys can see that market is still going back and forth just like it did last week. Looking over here at our clean chart, there's nothing going on. Price is going back and forth between this middle area right here. So the range is currently between the 44,400 mark and the 44,300 mark. This is where price is kind of just sitting right in between this area. The midpoint where price is kind of coming back to each time is the 44,350 mark. Looking at this right here, so this is what I was telling you guys earlier. See how we have this liquidity zone that's right here? You can pretty much ride this up to the probably ride this up to the actual higher high right here, which would be the original liquidity level. So if price was to push up to this area, it can push up and then possibly push through. And you see there it's pushing up to profit. And it's about to hit TP right there. So full TP right there if you guys took that level of liquidity. You guys see how much easier this is to identify liquidity versus having to just go for this, because this is how I used to trade liquidity. I never took the liquidity at the actual higher lows. I never took it at those price points. I took it on its way to those higher highs or those higher lows or those lower lows and stuff like that. So this is typically where I would have taken liquidity at this price point. When price touched it, I would have taken that for a buy and then rode that up to this level here, which would be the actual liquidity level, because that's where people's stop losses are sitting. When it goes for stop loss hunts, these levels of liquidity right here is basically where it's going to be hunting. So I'll keep testing this. I just put this indicator together over the weekend, so it's a work in progress. But you can see it's very useful and it's very helpful if you like to trade liquidity. So you don't have to like worry about getting in too early, getting in too late. You kind of just get in right here and you ride it to the next level. So again, if you wanted to look for another level here, this level still hasn't gotten hit yet. So if it pushes above higher, you can ride this up from this area up to this level of liquidity right here, right? So if you wanted to get in, like say like right here, ride that out for about 30 points or so. So it's a pretty cool tool. I think this will be useful. All right, there's still no entries here right now specifically. Nice. Yeah, Lila said she loves this. Yeah, I think this tool that I created is going to be very useful for a lot of you guys because a lot of you guys don't know where to enter liquidity, right? I feel like liquidity push, like the liquidity strategy, it worked very well for certain people and it worked very horribly for other people. It's just everyone saw things differently when they're identifying liquidity. But I think this indicator is going to help a lot more with identifying proper liquidity to take, because now you know where to maybe take your entry and your target will be like these levels here. So there's a higher high right there just got triggered. So that would have been the liquidity. You would have taken this up higher and you could just ride this to liquidity. And if you want to be a discretionary trader, this kind of helps a lot too, because you're like, okay, there's liquidity sitting here. So obviously there's gonna be areas for me to take certain buys to ride this up even higher. Right? Like you don't take them at certain areas like always, but like for example, right here, I wouldn't take the trade here at the sessions. I would look for price to break past the sessions, and then I use this as a confluence to push up higher. So like if price was to push up here, then I would be okay with taking liquidity to like say up here. That's where the actual target's at. But I wouldn't trade right here down at the sessions, of course, because that's a red flag. I'm just gonna clean this up a little bit. You guys can see the charts are a little messy. So the breakout's still running, guys. I mean, I'm not in the breakout at all. If it doesn't hit today, that's completely fine. I'm not going to take the one tomorrow until one hits. But obviously we'll be following it. Let's see. Sam said he bought gold before news. Let's see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens here with gold. So let's check out gold real quick. Sam bought gold. So it looks like you probably got in down here, right, Sam? Somewhere around that area. Let's see if I got my liquidity. So looking at the liquidity over here, that's actually pretty high. I don't really see any liquidity at the top right now. We'll come back and take a look at that a little later. There's nothing going on right here right now, guys. We got a sell signal that came up. There could be a possible, I mean, it's going to be really tricky to take a breakout V3 continuation here. It's right at the news price. Uh, yeah, so I could see a possible breakout V3 continuation setting up right here, but the candle strength is so weak. Like this is probably not going to close red. Here's one thing right here too. So this is a double body rejection off this point. This will possibly continue climbing up higher actually. But again, it's like in a tricky area. So right here, this is kind of what you look for, Sam, right? I think this goes hand in hand with your type of strategy. So there's a V1 variation right here. Everything's kind of set up. It's bouncing off liquidity right here. So this could be a reversal back to the upside right here. I'm not really going to mess with it because it's right at opening price. It's obviously, like I said earlier, this whole area there's a bunch of red flags here. We have a sessions right here, which is the Asia high. We have opening price, which is this blue line right here. We have news price, which is this pink line right here. And then we have more sessions down here. But if we didn't have all of these red flags right here, this would be an ideal entry for a V1 variation to the upside. I know this would be not in the direction of the trend, but if you're looking for those reversal type trades, you can see here that price is kind of sitting at the liquidity zone. And this will likely, if you get a V1 pattern like that, it's typically going to reverse back up. But I mean, again, it's like a tricky area right here to be trading in because there's so many red flags. Again, this is my window within this middle area. Unfortunately, it's not really looking like I'm going to be able to take anything here. I mean, I guess there could have been a market flow V2 that could have happened right here at the 40 mark. But it's such a tricky area to be trading in. Sorry, not the 40 mark, the 70 mark right here. So we had a sell signal, price came down, price retraced up, would have filled right here at the 70 mark. And this would have been a market flow V2 entry. So you can kind of see here how it's tricky because there's like price can really go in either direction. Looking over here at the clean chart, you can see price over here faked out at the 400 level. And then it pulled right back into the range down here. I mean, ideally, I would probably look for some sells because the breakout is for a sell. It's still running right now. So ideally, I'd want price to come down. The only problem is that there's so many red flags in this area. Like price is going to have trouble getting past this area in general. There is a blue line, which is opening price. There is, and let me turn off liquidity real quick. Yeah, the blue line is opening price. Obviously, you don't want to trade around that area. It acts as a magnet. We have the news price right here at 645, the inflation news. And then we have sessions up here and we have sessions down here. So everything here is, I mean, it's just super, super flat. The ATR is currently 21. So there is volatility in the market. There's just no direction. Price is moving, but it's just moving up and down. It's not really moving directional. Yeah, Sam City's at break even, not looking good at the moment, no volume. Yeah, there's not very much volume here at all. There's volatility in the market, like price is moving, like it's going up and down, but there's no volume, like you said, like it's not, the volume is not getting pushed in a direction. So, yeah, and there's no like liquidity kind of sitting around this area either for gold. Let's go on the 1 minute. There's liquidity here on the 1 minute though. So if you look on the 1 minute here, there is some areas of liquidity up there. But the thing is, like, we're in a bearish trend, so you're trading the reversal, right? So you're looking for this to correct back up. So it's bearish on the 1 minute. There's liquidity kind of hanging out right there. On the 5 minute over here, there isn't very much. On the 5 minute over here, actually, see what the liquidity is looking like on here. So, I feel like the liquidity for this here on the 5 minute is mainly for reversal. So I wouldn't really use this on the 5 minute for liquidity. I would use this for like reversal patterns. So like, for example, if you're to see a V1 variation off one of these liquidity levels, like for example, down here, price came down to this point. It was established over here. See, it's a pretty strong level right there. And you can see over here, we had a double body rejection price. And this is like right after open. Price would have climbed up right there. But it wouldn't make a difference. I mean, there's still all these red flags all over the area. So something that we'd have to pay attention to. Back to the 1 minute. Let's see, Viv is asking what price is the next entry? Hard to see price. Which entry are you talking about, Viv? Because I don't have any entries here that I'm looking at. There's nothing that's really come up yet. So the breakout's still running, guys. It's still kind of going back and forth. I mean, I'm super glad that we didn't take the breakout today, actually, because this would have stressed me out. If we took the breakout this morning and we're still in the position and it hasn't really moved anywhere, like this would have stressed me out because it's not even a breakout anymore. We're in the market about 30 minutes. Breakout never happened. It's going back and forth. And like I said earlier, this area is just not a good area to be trading in. So I'll turn off the liquidity right there. As you can see, we have the Asia high right here. So even if price pushes up, it's going to have trouble getting past this area, right? As you can see from this, the previous candle over here, it's stuck. It got stuck right there and it came back down. So it doesn't really matter which direction price goes. Whether price pushes up, it's going to get stuck right here, or it may get stuck. And if price pushes down, it may get stuck at opening price. It may get stuck at news price. It may get stuck at the sessions down here. You can see in the past, it's gotten stuck at these areas. The sessions right there, sessions right there, opening price right there. It's just not really a good area to be trading in. So we are currently trying to break past this area. So there goes the liquidity that we were just talking about. So let's see where it's at. But again, I wouldn't take any areas right here. If you were to take an area of liquidity, I would wait for price to break past it. So now price did break past it, as you can see here. You just want to make sure price isn't touching the sessions. So now that price is pushing up, the area of liquidity that would possibly look for entry would be maybe like somewhere around this area right here, maybe this level right here. So maybe at 44,420. So 44,420 is probably where I would look for the entry. I would probably go for like 10 points or have your trailing stop set to 10 points. So like you could have like your 30 TP stop loss set up there. And then when price reaches the 10 points, it'll move your stop loss in profit. The reason for that is because the target's like pretty far out. Like if you're going to go for this higher high, it's like way out there. What might happen is price might blast through this area of liquidity, then it might come back down. So it's kind of a stretch. I mean, price is pushing up right here. You can see price is pushing up further. See if I can maybe see if I can take this with this one.
Order filled.
So I'm gonna try this with my Apex account. I'm just gonna try to run it through and see how this here plays through. The entry was a little high. It was like around that area right there. But I'm gonna see because it looks like price here will be bullish. So it's pushing up through those levels of liquidity that I marked up there. Again, I think the target might be a little too high, so I have this trailing at like the 10. We'll see. So there goes price pushes up. My entry wasn't the best, so my trailing didn't actually get moved up yet. So price has already reached the 10-point mark if anybody's looking to catch those 10 points there. The target's going to be this area up here. So price is pushing up further. Let me get out of this. Fuck. I just realized that I didn't turn on my. I gotta get out of the position.
Order filled.
I forgot to turn on my fucking copier. Okay, so I got out of the position right there because I forgot to turn on the settings on my copier. The trade's probably gonna push up higher. I wanted this to copy over my other accounts, but I forgot to turn on my copier. So it is pushing up higher right there. I was gonna try to add in the other accounts, but unfortunately it just it's all good. I got out for like 10 points. So I got out for like $300 in profit. It was just my entry wasn't that good. So I got in a little higher. You can see right here, this is where I got in. This is where that push came up, and then I got out right here. So you guys could see everything over here. It's just a lot cleaner now that we have that liquidity that's marked up. Now that the liquidity pretty much got wiped out, that's why I took off my position. But the target's going to be up here at this area. So it looks like it's going to hit the full 30. I mean, I should have just held on to it, but it's okay because I wasn't fully in. So it's about to hit. There you go. Full TP for 30 points right there. So you guys can see how this liquidity here actually, it's a lot easier to follow versus just using the high lows. The high lows are good. I mean, the high lows are great for like following targets, but you guys can see this new liquidity indicator that I put together. That was a nice full TP right there. So again, this was exactly what I was telling you guys about earlier. And you see how price is now coming down. So let's just go back to where the entry happened. So what I said earlier is my entry could happen right here. I'll just ride this up to where liquidity is supposed to end, right? The target. So this is typically how I used to apply it, but it was hard for me to explain because people didn't really understand where I was getting in before the actual liquidity would get hit. So right here's where I got in at the 44,420 mark. And I forgot to turn on my copier, so it only copied on like one account. And then I said, okay, this is probably where you want to ride it. And then you can ride this up to the area of liquidity right there. And that's pretty much what I did. Price pushed up, there's my entry, pushed up higher, and then it hit TP. You guys can see over here, it showed my profit on the chart earlier because I did attach my Apex account to this. But yeah, my entry happened right here at this blue arrow. I bought right here at 44,427. And then I exited right here at 44,433. About 10 points. So I'll put this in the chat so that you guys can see. Unfortunately, my copier wasn't on, so I only took it on one account. I took it for a low contract size because I was just testing it out. But I think moving forward, I'll be more comfortable taking liquidity trades, especially because we have the tools here, especially to identify, the liquidity. So I'll put this over here real quick. So no breakout for today. So the breakout over here looks like it's hitting for 50-50. So if you had it for 50-50 down here, it would have hit, but if you would have done 50-100, it wouldn't have. I mean, it still would have lost either way. So if you would have taken the regular breakout for 50-100, 50 stop loss, 100 TP, it would have lost. So you can see over here, if you have a 50-50, like what Daryl was doing, the 50-50 does work pretty decent. It's because the volatility here isn't very high on the open like how it's supposed to be. So I'll put this over here real quick. I'll put the same, I mean, literally, I'm going to copy the same thing here. The thing is, I don't really want to go down to a 1-to-1 risk reward for the breakout. I want to keep it to a 1-to-2, but it's going to be tough. So I mean, I'll have to just follow it further. It's been like 5 days now, 5 out of the 6 days that that's had issues. All right, so I think that's it for right now. I mean, we'll keep looking for some possible entries here, but there goes a liquidity entry. You guys can see I took this on my actual account because you can see the entries on there. Unfortunately, my copy wasn't set, so I was only able to take it on one account. I'll just, you guys can see. Man, the one trade that I take only executed on one account. It's all good. I'll keep looking for more liquidity moving forward. The thing with liquidity is that it can happen all throughout the session. It's not like the other scalps where they just happen between like a certain time period. For this one, it's like happens all throughout the day. All right, so you can see over here, I just wanted to count. This is my main account, right? Executed on. I got it at bad entry, and then I also I just manually closed it out. Once I realized the other accounts weren't copying, I was like, I'm just gonna close it out at the 10-point mark. Yeah, so there goes the only entry that I took for today. I'll keep looking for any opportunities for entry, but it's just not really looking like it today. It's a slow Monday for the most part. Sam said, good one, Sean, on liquidity. YM loves liquidity hunt. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Um, definitely one of the better assets to trade these liquidity pushes. I mean, you could probably do it on NQ too. Let me see. I haven't tried this indicator on other assets yet, but I would assume it works just as good on NQ. Might work better on NQ actually. You know what? I don't need to. Let's put this here. YMH 2025. I'll just go to NQ from here. Um, I'm assuming there was liquidity down here for sure, right? Or maybe not. Okay, yeah, so there was liquidity sitting here. So like basically, this is where market opened at like 6:30. You could have entered liquidity like right here. Looks like target would have been up there. The thing with NQ is that it's so messy. Yeah, this thing would have spiked. So it spiked on the opening candle right there. So you guys can see right there, this is a 6:30 candle. I mean, maybe the breakout might work better on NQ. There's still the volatility is still not super high, but it's high enough. So you guys can see I had liquidity just like kind of hanging out right here. And the target liquidity was going to be this blue line right here, right? Because that's the higher high. So on open, price spiked all the way up and just shot right through to it. And then after that, there's just no other liquidity because it hasn't been established since. So breakout actually would have worked on NQ today. So it would have been a buy right there. But again, I'm not an NQ trader. I don't really like trading NASDAQ. So I don't think I would switch to NQ. I would just stick to YM and just wait for market here to pick up a little bit. But you can see over here that the same strategy that we used for the liquidity push was, it would have worked out perfectly for NQ as well. There's just no levels here right now. So the thing with this is I would still trade in the direction of the trend. So I would still trade in the direction of the trend, even though, you can possibly trade in either direction. So again, I'll mark up a new higher high right here. So we got new targets right there. We got a target up there. We have a target down here. The only problem is if price comes down to this area, is we have all of these red flags down here. So yeah, technically you can take the liquidity as it comes down right here. Like you can take this for a sell. But the problem is that like once you get down to this area, there's going to be all of these areas of manipulation. You got the sessions right here, which is the Asia high. You have news price down here. You have opening price down here. What I would probably look for is look for price to kind of hang out around this area. Look for the bounce off this and then push back up because we have another target right here. So it can bounce off this area and then push it from there. So guys, just another reminder. I know I haven't been reminding you guys too much, but we're moving to a new system next year. So starting on January 1st or maybe a week before that, we're moving to a new system. So if you guys are on the free plan or on whatever, not the free plan, if you're not paying for the premium and you're in the premium, your account's probably gonna get wiped. Just a heads up, because like the way that it works in the new system is that there has to be some sort of like your account has to be charged somehow, right? For it to renew every month. So if you guys are, there's some people who had like free accounts from like the past and you just like kind of maintained it. You're probably gonna get like your account's gonna get wiped and then you're gonna have to just create a new one. So just keep that in mind if, from now until next New Year's, you're not able to get on the premium. So the trial is still working right now. So what happened was like when people's trials expired, we just renewed the trials. So for like another week or two, the trials will be available. So if you guys just want to re-sign back up through the trial, you can do that. So just a heads up, I just want to let you guys know so there's no surprises when you like try to log into the live session at some point in the future and then it doesn't work because your account got wiped because there's no information linked to it since it was on a free account. Let's see, Max, it definitely took way more trades than I was planning to today, but still a decent win for the day, getting off now. Got to take what the market gives me. Yeah, no, definitely. I'm not looking to take anything else here right now either. What I want to see here is I probably want to see price come down, bounce off here and come back up to this point. If price pushes up here and breaks through the liquidity right now, I would probably be a little careful because the opposite could happen here. So price could push up to this area and come back down. So what I'd like to see is I'd like to see price come down right here, grab liquidity, and then push up and blast right through here and then reach the target, right? It's a liquidity grab. That's like literally what it is. Liquidity grab, a stop loss hunt, whatever you want to call it. Nice. So Sam actually caught a pretty nice move over here. He took the buy with us earlier. He caught 80 points. Great work right there, Sam. Yeah, so Sam said he entered at 43.80. So 43843. And you got in like way down here. I think your pricing is just different from ours, Sam. So you're probably off by like, I think maybe 1,000 points because we're currently at 44. So I don't think price was at 43 for a while. You're probably trading on an indices broker, right? Because if your pricing is different from the futures, it's probably just because of the market that you're on or the exchange that you're on. But I'm assuming it was like around this area around here. What happened to that V1 from earlier? Oh, it was right here. So that V1 that we were talking about earlier, Sam, it actually pushed up. I think that's where you got it from, huh? So let's go back to here real quick. So there was a V1 variation. This is what I was telling Sam about earlier. Yeah, yeah. So you got in exactly where I told you. So you got in where I told you guys about earlier. So there's a V1 variation that's set up right here. And I was like, it's bouncing off this fair value gap or like the liquidity. So I was like, it's probably gonna push up and knock out all this liquidity right here. And that's literally what happened. So nice work, Sam, on following my analysis on there. Price, it pulled back and retraced a little bit, but then eventually it climbed up and it went straight through. Yeah, perfect. No, nice work, Sam. So this is what I was just saying right now. So that's kind of what I was looking for. I'm looking for price to come down and actually bounce off this area here. So I'm looking for it to come down, bounce off, and then push back up from here. So I'm looking for like that V1 variation pattern. You know, if that V1 variation pattern comes up, it could probably like really push right back up, knock out liquidity here and get to the target. So yeah, great work, Sam, on catching that there. That's like one of the key things. If you see a V1 variation that's like off one of these liquidity zones, then it's probably it's gonna go the opposite way usually. Like I think so this is the main reason why I put this indicator together, Sam, actually, because you've been talking about this. We are looking for V1 variations off, specific structure. Obviously there's a lot of different structure that you can use, but this gives us, a big enough window to catch like, that whole area. Similar to like support and resistance or like any other zones, but this kind of like it's easier because it automatically plots on the chart for us here. So again, like I was saying, I'm looking for this here to possibly bounce off one of these areas and then come right back up. I mean, we have targets in both directions, so it doesn't really matter which direction we're going for. Like even if price does come down to this area here, price may blast through the zone and push down to the lower low right here. Not really much going on here. So the volatility is still okay. So we have the rejection right there. There goes a rejection off the level. It's not a V1 variation, but it's a rejection. Ideally, I would like to see a V1 variation though. If I see a V1 variation here, then I'd probably wait for a confirmation back up, and then I wouldn't take it at the sessions right here, but I'd probably take it like a little higher, like this level. Then this thing right up to level up there. So I would want to see some sort of variation down here, V1 variation, push up higher, and I would enter from right there. Or like another thing I would like to see here is probably like a liquidity grab, kind of like what happened right here with this red candle, right? Look for price to grab through it and then push right back up. Yeah, Sam said, FYI, be careful. Market's slow and moved already, and the move may already happen. Yeah, I agree with you too, Sam. I think the analysis that I gave you right here, this was the move that we were waiting for. That's why like this entry happened between 7 o'clock or between 6:40 and 7. So like I was telling you guys earlier, my window for trades are going to be like between 6:40 and 7 right here. Right? There's my window of trade right there. The setup happened right there, and then it pretty much went straight up. So here goes the other direction that I marked up earlier. So this is what I was telling you guys about earlier. Price could come down and hit the next level down here. So let me go over here real quick and I'll just replay. So you guys remember how the level is right here, right? So ideally I was looking for price to push over here, but I just realized that the trend is now bearish. So you see how price is below the pivots and price is starting to move to the downside. Instead of taking the buy here, you could have taken the sell. The only thing here is that there's a lot of red flags around this area. So You could have taken a sell here and then rode this down to this blue line, which is the lower low. So this would have been the target. And you can see here as price pushed through it. See how price got to that point? That's where the entry would have been taken. And now it's pushing down to the target down there. But this is an area of manipulation. Obviously, the sessions is right there. We have the Asia low right here. It can be a tricky area to be trading in. But you guys see how useful this tool is? This is the reason why I created this tool. I only create tools that are useful. I don't create some random indicators that don't really help. Like this here is useful because you can see where to take your entries and then you can ride them to the specific liquidity areas. And there you go, full TP right there on that one too. I mean, I didn't take this one. I took this one over here, but not this one. I spotted it a little too late. I started to realize that the trend was shifting. So I would take these liquidity entries, but I would take them in the direction of the trend. So I wouldn't personally look for the reversals. I don't know how your gold trade's doing, Sam. Sam over here traded the reversal to the upside. But I mean, for me, I don't like trading reversals like that. I like to go in the direction of the trend. So, going on the gold 1 minute over here, I think there was probably maybe some levels down there. I think there was. So there was a level that was right here. There's a couple levels actually. Oh, there was a ton of levels down here. Yeah, so looking at gold over here, because I know you were in that gold position. It might have been better to take the sell here, Sam, because so we had all the levels here. I'll try to update the indicator so that we can see the lines a little better. But see how price pushed down to this area? It ended up hitting all the liquidity right here for gold. Yeah, it knocked out all the liquidity down there. So I'll have to update the settings where it extends out a little further. But you can see over here that the liquidity pretty much got knocked out on the way down. Pretty much like what happened. It's the same liquidity hunt that I went through with YM over here, but just on a bigger scale. Oh, gotcha. It's all good, Sam. You win some, you lose some. I mean, you won some here on YM, so I'm sure it balanced out for you. But yeah, no, this tool here is pretty cool. Ross is asking how do we get the tool. So I'm still working on it, Ross. We'll keep testing it here on the charts because I need to work out the kinks and stuff. Like if there's anything that's not coming up properly. I put it together over the weekend and I kind of tested it like all weekend and it worked out pretty nice. So I was like, okay, I'll just introduce it to you guys here on the live session. But yeah, like Sam, what we were talking about earlier, I try to go in the direction of the trend. Like for example, this over here I knew price was probably going to push back up because we had all the liquidity sitting here. So I was like, oh, this is a reversal. It'll push back up. And then same with this one right here. See how price, I don't think there's any more levels down here. Not yet. So here's the cool thing too. Like if you guys are on like higher time frames, like say for example, we're here on the 1 minute, right? I'm just gonna clean this up right here. I'm gonna take this off. I already hit that target, so I'd take that off right there. So the cool thing with this is that if you want to go on the higher time frame, like say the 5 minute, and you're kind of curious, okay, is there a zone down here? There is a zone down here. So what you could do here is you can just draw your own zone over it. Because it doesn't show on the 1 minute, but it shows on the 5 minute here. And then you can see there's actually more areas here for price to push through. So now that price, if it continues to climb back down, like what you could look for here, you're basically like, you're anticipating what's going to happen next. So looking at this right here, you can look for a V1 variation somewhere on these red zones, right? You can look for a V1 variation. And then if it comes down lower, you can enter again right here. I mean, I personally wouldn't enter here because there's all the sessions down here, but if there was no sessions down here, you can enter that short and then you can write it down to this lower low right here. Because this is a whole area of liquidity, right? Vice versa, this is like a liquidity grab area too. So you can see over here, our price came down and grabbed liquidity, and now it's coming right back up. So here's like another cool thing too, is if price closes above this area here, you could actually write this up higher to this zone. So you're basically trading from liquidity grab to liquidity grab. Like, because what's gonna happen here is price just tries to grab these areas of liquidity, you know, it tries to go to these lower lows. So like, for example, right here, we had the lower low that was down at this point. And you're basically just trading liquidity in both directions, but you're going in the direction of the trend. So if the trend shifts, like for example, see how the trend is shifting to the upside right here? The price is pushing up higher. What I would look for here is I would look for price to actually push up, or it doesn't even have to push up. I'd look for a V1 variation somewhere right here. Exactly with what happened right here, right? I would look for the V1 variation pattern and I would just go in the direction of the trend. I'm looking for price to flow in the direction of the trend, whether it be to the upside or whether it be to the downside here. Either way, I'm looking for price to go in the direction of the trend and momentum. So you can see over here, we had a buy signal, bullish trend, obviously right this to the upside. Right here, we have price pushing back up. So I'm looking for this here to do something like this. Right? Because if this happens, we have liquidity up here, plus we have a bullish trend, plus we have bullish momentum. We have so many confluences there. Vice versa, if price wants to stay down here, that's completely fine too. Price can give us a V1 variation from up here. But see how I wouldn't want to trade in this area because look at all the sessions down here. There's so many red flags in this area. So for me personally, I mean, I wouldn't want to trade down here. I'd rather trade up here, the upside. Lila said this liquidity grab is bomb. Thanks. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we've already been doing liquidity grab or liquidity pushes like for years. Like we've been doing this liquidity strategy. The main question that I would get a lot of times is which liquidity to enter from, right? I think that was like the biggest problem for a lot of people is like they wouldn't know exactly where to enter. Like I knew where to enter because I could just see it on the chart. I knew exactly where price is gonna like maybe push up from. Like we would have a bunch of levels of liquidity here, right? You guys have seen that before. We have like liquidity right here, and then we have liquidity right here. And I said, okay, if liquidity is all bunched up in one area, that's probably gonna be a good area to take your entry, right? So in order for me to fix that and just make things easier to see, that's why I created this indicator to just do that for you. So you don't have to like kind of guess where price is like where you're looking to take your entry. The thing that I like about this too that I've been trying to work on for the past is creating it where it could disappear, right? Because if it doesn't disappear like it's moving here, then it's just going to be a bunch of bars on the chart. You're just gonna have bars all over the place. So I was able to put this together where I can have it disappear. Like right now, it hasn't disappeared yet because price is still kind of going back and forth. But once it actually pushes through it, and you can see right there, it did disappear this time. Once it disappears, it'll make space for the next levels. So yeah, but yeah, Ross, I'll try to get this indicator out to you guys hopefully by the end of the week. I just need to keep testing it because I want to make sure there's no problems with it. I don't want you guys to start using it and then it just you know, it ends up malfunctioning and then you lose a trade because it's not working right, right? So I'm gonna try to get this. I'm gonna keep testing it pretty much every day this week. I'm gonna be on the screen literally all day, every day, testing this through different markets, different time frames, seeing where the issues are, troubleshoot it, and then once it's good to go, I'll enable access to everybody who has access to the indicators. This is a pretty strong tool, though. I mean, you guys can see here, like it provided some pretty good entries for liquidity. And liquidity is like one of the favorites for a lot of people here. It's just a lot of people don't know how to apply liquidity, which is not a bad thing. It's just liquidity is hard to take. It's just now I've created this tool for you to like look for your entry points and then use the actual liquidity, like the higher high right here, as your target. So you can kind of get in from those points and then, ride it up to the target or ride it up to wherever. You can have your full target up there, and then you have your trailing stop somewhere in between. For me, I keep my trailing stop at the 10 mark. I might adjust that a little bit. So it's not super tight, but yeah, I'm always looking for ways to improve with the strategies that we're already applying. So I'm going to stay away from trying to create new strategies because I keep creating these strategies and we already have too many strategies already, guys. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to improve on like what we already have. I think that's going to be a better thing for us to look for and to use because like we don't really need any more strategies. I think what we have now is perfectly fine. What we need now is I just need to find ways to improve so that you guys know which entries to take and which ones not to take. Like for example, over here, see how there was a breakout V3 continuation right here, right? So let me go back over here real quick. So there was a breakout V3 continuation that came up right here. This would have been a good sign to take it as a breakout V3 continuation because there was liquidity sitting right there, right? So in this situation right here, it's like, okay, we saw the breakout V3 continuation. We have liquidity hanging out right there. There's no red flags in this area. This could have been an entry for a breakout V3 continuation, right? So if you would have taken that there, it would have filled, then it would have pushed up right there. So, the thing is, I'm already applying these strategies. Like the main strategies I'm looking for are breakout V3 continuations, even for market flow V2s. Like I'm trying to see if there was a market flow V2 that came up anywhere around here, but I don't really see any, at least not yet. No, I don't really see any here. I mean, obviously I wouldn't take these. There's red flags around this whole area. I swear I saw market flow V2 earlier, but I don't see it anymore. Might have been. Well, I mean, technically there was one right here with market open, but wouldn't have taken that, of course. Yeah, I don't see any market flow V2s here because there's too many red flags. Like even if I wanted to take a market flow V2 down here, there's all of the sessions down here. So I wouldn't mess with it. All right, we got price pushing up further right here. Again, like I said, there may be possible opportunity here for price to climb up higher. We didn't get that V1 variation that I was looking for though. So I mean, this could push up. I mean, technically, if you wanted to ride this up here, this could be the case where price pushes through a little bit. But it's too late into the session, so I'm not really going to take any trades here. I'll mark it up for you guys. Like we'll follow it, but I'm not going to take it myself. It's 7:35. It's like past my trading time right now. My trading window was between 6:40 and 7 o'clock. Even this trade was kind of late, but I was just using this for the example for the liquidity push. But yeah, basically, if you want to take the entry here, you can have like a pending buy stop or buy limit just hanging out right here at 44,428. We'll kind of see where it goes. The volatility is getting very low though. Volatility is currently at 17 ATR. So like I said earlier, if the volatility goes down to like 15 ATR, it's probably a good time to just sit out of the market because the volatility is just way too low. You're not going to have any direction. Price will probably just they'll keep going back and forth. What I was saying earlier is, so what might happen here is I think price may come back down. Price might come back down and then retest this area because the liquidity hasn't been grabbed from this area yet, right? We still have this area down here to grab liquidity. The trend here is shifting up. So there's two things that may happen here. Price may bounce off this area and come back up. Or the other scenario is price may come down here and come back up. Or, I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios here. So there's another scenario here. There's actually a V1 variation pattern right here. It's a double body rejection. what you could look for here is price to come down and actually push through to this level down here. So it's kind of a tricky area right now where it's currently sitting. There's just too many scenarios here. So I would probably, I mean, for me personally, I'm not going to take anything here, but there's just too many scenarios. There's a V1 variation pattern right there. The thing is that the trend is bullish though. So that's why I wouldn't take the V1 variation here. At this one right here, it was a little different because price was already shifting. We had a V1 variation here, but price already broke the structure. So it looked like price was going to push back up. So push up, retrace, push up higher. For this one over here, the trend here is obviously bullish, right? You can see the pivots here are shifting. So there goes the entry right there that I was just talking about earlier. I'm not in this position, but we'll follow it. Like I said, I want to go in the direction of the trend. I want to go in the direction of momentum. I don't really want to go against the trend. You know, it's kind of similar to what we were just talking about earlier with Sam. Like Sam took a gold trade here. He was going against the trend, which there's nothing wrong with that. You could be a reversal trader, but for the most part, I like to go in the direction of the trend. So here's gold. So you can see there's liquidity sitting right here down below. This could be the target. So I'm not trading gold, but I will just show you guys here. I mean, the volatility here is very low, but for the most part, if price does get down to this point and fills it, target will be down there, lower low. Again, I'm not in this position here. The volatility, again, is too low. Not really too much here to and the thing is there's only like one level of liquidity here. So like you guys can see how this zone of liquidity is right here. I don't like when there's one level. I like when they're all bunched up like earlier. So going back to like this over here from our earlier entry. See how they were all bunched up like this? I like this type of liquidity. I don't like it when it's just one zone. Because when it's just one zone, typically that's an area of like reversal and stuff like that. So I'll take this offer down. But again, you can see over here, there's not really much going on in this area right now. And this is why I try not to trade between this time period. I want to trade between 640 and 7. Sometime between that middle area right there. Let's see. Sam said, Sean, LOL. Gold back to my entry after stop loss. I know, right? It's I know it's like the market knows exactly what your stop loss is saying. Those are the worst trades. I hate those trades. Like I'm okay with taking a full loss. Like when you take a loss and it goes straight to your stop loss, okay, perfect. But when it hits your stop loss and it goes back to your entry, that's where it's like super annoying because it's like, man, if only I got in a little later or I got in a little higher or a little lower, it would have survived, you know, the back and forth movement. The problem is that the market that we're currently in right now is you guys can see the range here. So price is still ranging within this area. So it's been ranging within this area for a long time. Price pushed out this area right here and it faked out, pulled back into the range. Price pushed below this area right here and it faked back back into the range. So like I said earlier, you know, we had these lines marked up and I mentioned, oh, this is probably where price is going to sit right down the middle. And it just keeps getting pulled back into this area. So I know, right? Your stop loss is probably like around this area down here. Because I remember you got in like somewhere around here, like around 7 o'clock. Looks like it triggered your stop loss and then came right back up. This is why I don't like trading gold. Gold reminds me of NASDAQ. So gold and NASDAQ are like the two assets that I never really got into trading. I know a lot of people like to trade it, but for me personally, I don't trade it very much or very ever because I feel like it's more manipulated compared to something like YM. All right, so we may be getting a trend shift right here, or maybe not. We'll see. Again, price just sitting down right here right now. Here's our SR chart, super messy. So here's our SR chart. Still pretty messy. Yeah, I don't see much else happening over here. It's all right, so that entry that I marked up earlier, I think it's still running. Or no, it looks like it might have hit stop loss at some point. So it looks like it barely triggered the stop loss right there, and now it's going to be running again, looks like. But like I said, I wouldn't take any entries around this area because it just doesn't meet the criteria. I'm looking for like bunched up areas of liquidity. Whenever you have like one fat zone and it's just one zone by itself, these will typically just look, they'll be like areas of bounce, not breakthrough. And because the volatility is so low, you're not really getting that push through, right? Looking at the order flow over here, footprint. I'm kind of curious now to see. I'm like wondering how this would work with order flow. I mean, the order flow is so low though, it's so slow. See, where did this thing push away from? Let me go back to the 7 o'clock time. I'm just kind of curious to see how the order flow moved from here. Fuck. So you can't replay for. No, I'm not going to use order flow anymore, guys. So every time I try to use order flow, it just confuses me more. We try to use order flow in the past. We try to use the depth market. It just like I don't think it's like really necessary or required to use. Um, I mean, if you guys want to use it, feel free. But I was trying to see if there's like some sort of correlation here to use the order flow with my liquidity zones here, but it's not really. I feel like it's gonna do more harm than good to try to like incorporate order flow into the chart. I mean, unless I was using something else like book maps or something, maybe different, but I don't really like the order flow on here as much. Like I feel like if you were to trade order flow, you'd have to like just trade order flow only. Or like use it as your primary confluence or indicator or tool. Um, for me, I was trying to use it as a confluence, but I feel like it wasn't really as beneficial as it should have been. So I'm not going to use order flow. It's not really necessary, I think, for our specific trading. That's hard. It's so boring. Got me yawning super hard. So there hasn't been very much movement here, guys, for the past, like, we'll say 20 minutes or so. Basically from here up until here, the market pretty much died out. It's died out. There's not really much happening. The ATR is now down to 15. So like I said before, guys, when it gets down to 15, that's like a sign that, okay, maybe it's time to get out of the market. So again, for today, guys, I only took one trade. We followed the breakout here. The breakout did hit for 50 points, but for the 100 point move, it would have hit stop loss in either direction. So it didn't really matter which direction you would have taken in. So if you would have taken the sell here like we did, or like we were supposed to, it would have been a loss. And then if you took it here for a buy, it wouldn't matter because it still would have been a loss. This is very, very unusual. Well, I mean, no, it's not unusual for this week, but it's very unusual that's been happening so often. So you can see over here, I mean, it doesn't matter which direction you would have taken it in, because it still would have hit stop loss regardless of the fact. Like the buy here would have hit eventually, but it would have hit stop loss first before it hit TP. And then same with the other direction. Price would have hit stop loss over here if you took it for a sell. So it doesn't matter which direction you would have taken it in. This has happened about 6 times in the past 7 days, or 5 times. Sorry. I'm going to edit this right here because I know I put that in there too. So no direction of movement on open this week. So we'll say 5 days past 6 trading days, which I do think is very unusual. Like, the breakout has, well, not just the breakout, but just in general, there hasn't been very much price movement on open for the past 5 days now. So Monday last week, Tuesday last week, Thursday last week, or no, Monday last week, Wednesday last week, Thursday last week, Friday last week, and then today. That's 5 days. That's like that's basically 4 straight days back to back where there hasn't been any direction with the breakout, which is okay. I mean, at this point, I guess it's just a time to just sit out of the market, of course, but it's not what I'm looking for. I want price to actually be moving directional. So meanwhile, we'll keep looking at these other trades. So I'll be looking for trades between 640 and 7 for our normal scalps. And I'll try to look for some liquidity pushes as well along the way. But for the most part, I'm gonna try to stick between 640 and 7 for my scalps. And I'll look for whatever entries I can find through here. I'll use liquidity as a confluence, of course, for like say market flow V2s, or if I see any entries for breakout V3 continuations. Like this one right here was actually really good. Breakout V3 continuation. I didn't even realize it was a breakout V3C until it happened, but it went hand in hand with the liquidity. So same with this right here. If you get a buy signal here and it becomes a breakout V3 continuation, so buy signal with the green candle after it, and then it pushes through the liquidity here, it's probably going to push up to the level where it needs to, this target area up here. That's just something to look out for. Otherwise, I think we might be wrapping this up pretty soon, guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Just another reminder, guys, today is going to be day 4 of the Futures Day Trading Mastery class. So let me take a look at the course real quick, what we're going to be covering for today. So for today, we'll be covering, today might be kind of quick, actually. So we'll be covering sideways strategies, which will be high-low momentum scalps, consolidation variations, high-low scalp V2s. I'll probably take this off because we don't really apply this one as much anymore. I'll take this one off. So probably just these 2 strategies here. I don't really apply sideways strategies very much, but so I'll show you guys a little trick. Well, not a trick, but as I was putting this together, like what I've been talking about with Sam and like a couple other people in the group, like you can look for V1 variations at these. So when a market's going sideways like this, you can look for V1 variation. So here's an example right here. Actually, it's a perfect example. See how price V1 variation off the zone right here, the liquidity zone. So like I said before, these liquidity zones, they can act as price bounce areas, or they can act as price to break through the areas. So you can see when you have a V1 variation from here, you can actually take this as a sideways strategy. Like for example, the market's going sideways here. If I was to see a V1 variation off the structure, so say for example, we see a V1 variation right here, right? You can probably catch that bounce and push down to wherever it's going to go down to. And then vice versa, if you see a V1 variation down here, you can expect that to possibly bounce to the upside. So this tool here that I created, the Kodi Kai liquidity, this can be used for like multiple things. It can be used for liquidity, as is, or you can use it as an area for bounce because it's based off fair value gaps. So like whenever there's a fair value gap that gets produced, a new zone will be introduced into the market. So again, right here, you can see how price, well, I mean, previously it had a red zone there. So see how the red zone was right there? There's one of two things that may have happened when price pushed up to this area. Price either, so this either stays there and it bounces off, or price breaks through it and then it pushes to the next level up here. And see how price pushed through it right there? It's probably going to continue climbing up higher from this point because now that it's pushed through, it's disappeared. It's not on the chart anymore. So yeah, today during the mastery class, we'll be covering sideways strategies, and I'll cover the breakout strategies over here as well. And other than that, I think that might be about it. If we have extra time, we'll cover risk management, trade psychology, and trading like a business. But I think I'll keep this for the last day. So we'll cover the rest of the strategies for today, and then we'll keep this for the next following week, where we'll cover like this stuff in specifics. So I know this is going to take a lot of time: risk management, the main trading issues, and then of course trading like a business. So, all right, guys. I think that's it for today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out on Discord. Again, if you guys are not in the Discord, you guys can put your questions or whatever. If you guys just want to talk, like if you guys want to hang out and ask any question or whatever it may be, whether it be trading or not trading related, or you have a question about a platform or anything like that, the team chat's always open. So if you message me and I'm not available and I don't get back to you, then just talk in the team chat. I mean, this is probably the best place to communicate with people in the group. Like if you're curious how other people are doing currently, like if you're not doing so well trading right now and you're wondering, oh, I wonder what everybody else is doing, you can always just type into this chat like, hey guys, how's everyone's trading doing today, or something like that, or this week. You can just put that in the chat and people will respond to you. It's just, I feel like a lot of people are kind of shy and they just want to like message me directly, but sometimes I'm not available. So if you guys want to talk in the team chat, this is available to you. And for the most part, if you message in the team chat, I'll probably respond here first before I get to my private messages, because my private messages are so flooded that like sometimes I just never get to them. And sometimes your message will be stuck in the request and I'll just never see it. So, all right, guys, I think that's going to be it for today. As you guys can see, there's not really much going on. Price is going sideways right here, right down the middle. And it's probably best to just sit out of the market for the day. Unless we have some sort of catalyst to push price around. Just a reminder, this is Fed week. So tomorrow we have retail sales, pre-market, and then we have a couple news events happening throughout the session. And then on Wednesday, we have the interest rate news with Fed Chair Powell speaking. So it's going to be pretty big on Wednesday. But other than that, we'll just keep taking it as is. I'll stick to my game plan. I'll look for the breakout. I'm not taking any breakouts until a breakout wins. And then for my scalps here, I'll try to focus between 640 and 7. And I'll also look for some liquidity that pushes outside of it whenever that happens. But for the most part, I'm going to try to stick between 640 and 7. Today was tough because there was news at 645 and there was a bunch of red flags right here down the middle. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for the day. If you guys want to attend the Futures Day Trading Mastery class later today, it's going to be at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Again, we'll be covering the sideways strategies and breakout strategies. I know some of you guys, this is what you've been waiting for because you want to understand how do we take the breakout in the morning. And then you also want to understand what to take during these sideways markets. So again, today at 2 p.m. Pacific time, I will be going live for the day 4, I believe, of the Futures Day Trading Mastery class. It's completely free, open to everybody. It'll be live streamed to YouTube. If you guys are in the premium, you will have access to the Zoom. And I think that'll be it. So, all right, guys, have a great rest of your day. If I see you guys here later, I will be back in a few hours. Otherwise, I will see you guys here tomorrow for the next live.